Welcome to the case file titled A Fisher of Sorts. This case file has to do with the issue of non-disclosure. Non-disclosure asks the question, how much information does one party in a contract have to divulge to the other? Here is our client, Reverend Kenneth Jenkins. Jenkins is an ordained minister and a Bible salesman. He sells Bibles by going door to door in rural areas and offering customers his special Bibles that he sells for $300. When Jenkins goes from home to home trying to sell Bibles, he looks around for possible antiques for a potential trade. If the person does not want to trade with Jenkins, he backs off and goes on his way. Reverend Jenkins is very knowledgeable about antiques and makes a good amount from his practice. He gives money to the church and is able to live comfortably. And this is Sarah Hammer, a farmer from Pagosa Springs, Colorado. She is the one that is suing Reverend Jenkins. Reverend Jenkins came to her house and sold her a Bible for some old fishing equipment that she had laying around the house. Hammer didn't realize at the time that her equipment was very valuable. When Hammer's uncle told her that her fishing equipment could have been very valuable, she was not happy.
You did not tell me that my fishing equipment was so valuable. I demand that you either give me back my fishing equipment or pay me $5,000.
Here comes the plot twist. About a month after Hammer sold the boxes and their contents to Jenkins, there was a huge fly fishing auction in LA. The bulk of the items were sold by one unidentified party, and they sold for $32,340. While it is unclear if Reverend Jenkins is this unidentified party that sold the bulk of the items at the auction, Miss Hammer was interviewed and recalled seeing some of the items that were sold at this auction. This makes the plot very interesting.
I would like to hire you to be my attorney. Please help me.
Reverend Jenkins picked the best attorney in town. Alex Associate was known for this type of work. He reviewed the facts of the case and was able to provide Reverend Jenkins with the main issues.
After reviewing the facts of your case, Reverend Jenkins, the main issue here is whether you owed a duty to Sarah Hammer to disclose the value of her fishing equipment.
Now it was time to review the relevant case law and determine a game plan to counter Hammer's suit against Reverend Jenkins. After reviewing the Colorado case law, the first thing we have to analyze is the relationship between Reverend Jenkins and Sarah Hammer. If the relationship was some type of special trust relationship, a fiduciary relationship, then Reverend Jenkins may have owed a duty to Sarah Hammer to disclose the value of her old fishing equipment.
Reverend Jenkins, Mrs. Hammer did not attend your church, did she?
No, she did not. I never met her before.
And you didn't tell her anything at all that was not true, did you?
No. I just made her an offer to trade a Bible for her old fishing equipment and she accepted.
According to Colorado law, in order for a plaintiff to recover on fraudulent concealment and misappropriation of information claims, a defendant must have owed a duty to the plaintiff. In these two Colorado cases, the court held that when a defendant is in a special relationship, like a landlord-tenant or an employer-employee, the defendant owed a duty to the plaintiff to disclose potentially harmful information. However, in Malloy Oil, the court found that the defendant did not have a duty to disclose information because there was no fiduciary or special trust relationship.
Let's see what the Restatement Second of Contracts has to say.
The Restatement Second of Contracts says that a non-disclosure is equivalent to an assertion where the other person is entitled to know the fact because of a relationship of trust and confidence between them. Section 162 of the Restatement says that a misrepresentation is fraudulent if the maker intends his assertion to induce a party to manifest his assent, or a misrepresentation is material if it would be likely to induce a reasonable person to manifest his assent. Finally, Section 164 of the Restatement says that if a party's manifestation of assent is induced by either fraudulent or material misrepresentation by the other party, upon which the recipient is justified in relying, the contract is voidable. One prominent contract theory is from Laidlaw v. Oregon. This theory is that information is property, and imposing a duty to disclose deprives the party of a private advantage which the information would otherwise afford. It is only fair to permit those with such information to contract freely without disclosing what they know. After reviewing the facts and studying the relevant law, our clear and best argument is that Jenkins was not a fiduciary of Hammer. Jenkins was not Hammer's pastor, and they were in no type of special relationship of trust as required by the courts to satisfy a claim for fraudulent concealment. Moreover, Jenkins did not make any misleading statements to Hammer, nor did he fraudulently induce Hammer to trade with him. She made the exchange on her own free will and should have known the value of her stuff before accepting the deal with Jenkins.
So, does this mean that I'll get to keep that money I made off of the auction? Don't tell anyone. Remember, I have attorney-client privileges.
I do realize that you have attorney-client privileges, Reverend Jenkins. Although it could be argued that you owe no duty to Hammer, a jury may disagree with us. After all, you are an ordained minister. A jury may frown upon your behavior and find that you are kind of sneaky and want to hold you to a higher moral standard than most people. Therefore, Reverend Jenkins, it is in your best interest to avoid protracted litigation and settle with Hammer. Go ahead and pay her $5,000. This amount is small compared to the money that you made off the auction. It will keep the matter quiet and maintain your reputation as an ordained minister and Bible salesman. Finally, Reverend Jenkins, I am not going to advise you to discontinue your Bible trading practice. After all, you made a fair trade and you didn't do anything that was outside the realms of the law. However, I am going to tell you to be more careful. I would get your agreements in writing and make sure that your clients realize that their items may be valuable.